Coach Sullivan here again with MJS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you. Non-subscribers, I'm really hoping to tease you into pushing that button. This past fall, I completed my 38th year coaching football, and I was a defensive coordinator. But over that time, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, longtime head coach, and all of this at both the collegiate and high school levels. In this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our prisoner games that we call STAB. And there's good reason for that, as you'll see when I go over here through the key terms so you can better understand how we execute and what the techniques are for our four guys who are involved, because that's a prisoner game, non-subscribers. Four defenders, all three defensive linemen, and our outside linebacker that we call a rover when he's involved in the front, which he is up top here in our base odd front example. And down here, one of our even front examples, the rover's part of the front in both. Okay, the four people you see are all involved in it. So that's what makes it a prisoner game. So there's a pretty good freebie for you non-subscribers. Okay. So after I go through the key terms over here and the assignments, over here in the illustration, I'll bring to light for you some of the key parts of the technique when it comes to each position and how they're able to execute. Okay? So the first key term is number one, STAB itself. It's a prisoner game. There are two penetrators and two loopers. However, one of the loopers is not involved with the penetrator. So that's why you see first and second only on one side. Okay, so there's a penetrator and a looper on both sides, but the looper's not involved away from the rover with the penetrator. Okay, which is a little different. So the Lucky Ringo is to the rover, as I've said numerous times, right? Everybody has a different name, so if the rover doesn't know who he is, we got trouble. So the rover makes the Lucky Ringo call because he's directly involved, as you'll see. So therefore, the second term is the rover itself. He goes first because in this one, he's the penetrator. Okay? And so what he's going to do, regardless of where he is, he's going to stab B gap through the outside of the guard. So that's going to involve, a certain tweak to the technique in order to get there. Okay? And what that also will bring in is a key coaching point. So for us, this is our base odd front up top. Okay? Whatever your base front is, if I were you, I would teach everything out of that first and then decide what other fronts you want to execute things out of. Because here's the big coaching point. We tell our guys, look, it might be a different starting point. Like you're a head up on a tight end here, 8 technique. Down here, your 5 technique on a tackle. It's called different starting point, same ending point. So the assignment doesn't change. I don't care what level you're talking about. Sometimes players, I've had 23-year-old players say to me, so how's my assignment? Is it different? And the answer is no. Now, your technique to get there might be different because you're starting off in a different place, but you're ending up in the same place. Okay, so the coaching point is different start, same end. Okay, so how you get to the end might be a little different, and I'll show you that up on these two. Okay, don't leave that out. That's a huge part of it. So then number 3, the defensive end to the call. So in both cases here, these are Ringo, right? Because the rover is on the right. So non-subscribers, push the button. So it's going to be the stud again. Push the button. Okay, so this looper is involved with the penetrator on this side. Okay, huge. Okay, so as we teach it, we teach them, are you the DN to the call or the DN away? When you're to the call, Ringo always stud, Lucky always end, then this is what you do. You're going to flash A gap, and then you're going to loop behind the rover, okay, into B gap, and you're going to work for outside cage. So 4 technique is going to be different than a 3 technique. Again, same thing, different starting points. So we'll show you how that tweaks their technique a little bit. Then on the other side, number 4 here, the nose is going to stab a gap away from the call. All right, I don't have enough room down here to write that, but he's going to stab the A gap away from the call, and that's it. Whereas now the defensive end, opposite the calls. That's how we teach it, right? The ends are left and right. There you go, non-subscribers freebie. Excuse me. So when you're opposite the call, you are a looper, but you're not involved with the penetrator. So you're going to sell the speed, and then you're going to loop in the B gap. And then while you're there, if you have a chance to make the sack, you take it. Otherwise, you work for outside cage. And so one big thing here, subscribers, there's no reading involved, right? And there's not a designated blocker to read. Okay? There is not a designated blocker to read on this one. Okie dokie. So now let's bring this whole thing to life here, okay? So we're going to start up top. So got an 8 technique, right? So the first one I'm going to go with is the defensive end, okay, the looper. For him to flash A gap, right, he's head up on the tackle, he has to sell like he's sticking that 2 gap reduction into the A gap. He's got to sell the stick, right? Same thing for the rover. If he's stabbing B gap through the outside of the guard, then he's doing the same, except he is gaining ground. Okay, so right now we're going to say that the offensive line is in pass protection. Okay, on both, just to make this thing simple. Okay? So as both are sticking, it's what we call double stick. Okay, non-subscribers, push the button. As he's sticking here, he's going to stop plant, okay? And then he's looping behind up into the B gap, okay, working for outside cage. This is what we get with our odd front. Usually the tackle's looking in the C gap. A guard's usually looking in the B gap. Okay, not always, but usually. Here, stab the A gap. Push that pocket. Get vertical. Make that offensive lineman kick step hard. Right? Now over here, you sell it by stepping hard up the field with that outside foot, and then you're looping inside the tackle. We're telling you to take the inside. And then from there, if you got a chance for the sack, you take it. If not, you make sure you have outside cage. Hence, that's why he's a looper, but see, he's not involved with the penetrator like it is up here. So now down here, right, you got a 3 and a 5. So it's much easier for him to stab the B gap because he's that much closer. So now he can literally just flash A gap and loop behind. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. So we call it stab because we just want them as fast as they possibly can, just going on a track without reading anything. Okay, that's why we do it. Now, if you got a kid who's athletic enough, so if this guard's trying to block him, he can make a move and go butt side, we just let him. But we don't coach it. You just let it happen. And if the kid's coachable and you can bring that up in film study, then you do it. Otherwise, just let him go. This is the one where there is no designated blocker to read to go butt side. We are getting after it. When we're confident there isn't going to be a draw, there isn't going to be a screen, and the quarterback is not likely to tuck it and run, we like to run this. Just get after him. So if you have like what a fast pass rushing package, jet package, whatever you call it, this is the time to use it. Okay? So, as I said at the beginning to my subscribers, I thank you, non subscribers. I'm really hoping I teach you into pushing that button. To everybody, please, questions, reach out to me at Coach MJ Sullivan at gmail.com. Love to hear from you. I want to thank you for watching MJS Coaching Football, and I want to thank YouTube for providing this platform.